Hey, JoJo, you can come back to that. Come on.
Yeah. This guy's pissed.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to be cleaning that up.
Hey, Vlad, let's go.
Yes.
That's a good blow right here.
You're going to kill all.
All right, we're going to get started. Everyone, again, thank you for coming. We do this annual Lincoln High School baseball celebration every year. We think it's very important to celebrate a full season of high school baseball. It's a lot of work. It's a whole year kind of work put into this. And then it's also 5 months of straight baseball. And there's a lot of things that can happen through that 5 months, a lot of ups and downs for everybody. There's always a lot of things that happen. But again, because of everybody here, all the players, all the support, it was another successful season for Lincoln Baseball. So thank you everyone for that. Just to go over some highlights for this year. Again, both teams in the last 5 years for JV and varsity have overall gone over 500 when it comes down to our record for league. Every year we either get first, second, or third place. And then this year was no different. JV went out there in the last 5 years and went out there and won their second JV championship in epic fashion. Congratulations there. Varsity, for the 3rd year in a row, which is actually a Lincoln High School first, made it back to the championship.
Yeah.
Congratulations. So again, our program's heading in the right direction, and I always bring this up. This is when we took over Lincoln, we always knew there was a lot of talent that comes through this school, and when we took it over, we wanted to make sure that Lincoln was back competing, and also just have a good reputation out here. That was really, really important, that every kid that came through Lincoln High School or through this public school system was getting an actual baseball experience. And so far, we have been able to do that. And again, it's not easy to kind of put all this stuff together, and it takes a real support system from the parents and kids and everybody else to really make sure this happens. A really great coaching staff to make sure this happens. But again, this is we've been able to travel to San Diego. We've been in multiple tournaments in spring break. We even traveled to LA. My first year we did this as well. We've done trips to Sacramento and everywhere else. Santa Cruz now, we can put that in the books. But we've been everywhere. But again, these teams trust us. One of the good things right now that we have going on is we have a good reputation. We carry ourselves well. And that was very, very important that we did that. When I took over this program, I remember getting calls from like SH and everybody were like, I don't know about Lincoln anymore. Why should we play you guys? They had forfeits in the past, things like that. When we took over, there wasn't even we thought the program was going to fall, which is why I took over. They were like, hey, I don't think you're going to have a JV or varsity team. You need to try to recruit players. But we've done just fine. And again, we've had to have a lot of players kind of build into what we are doing. I mean, I know that can be hard sometimes to kind of look into, but to kind of just believe in the process. And I feel like the parents here, you guys believed in us to make sure that we could give that proper experience. And you don't even know how important that is, right? Because if, again, we don't have the parent support, things can get thrown into disarray and we don't get to have all these opportunities, right? But not only that, all the parents here carried themselves well, all the players carried themselves well, and now all I do is get phone calls every year from like SH, San Mateo, Burlingame. San Mateo just played in the CCS championship, all these schools. And right away they're like, hey, we're still playing right now, but we definitely want to play Lincoln High School again. So through all these games, these guys continually hit us up to play because, again, we have a good reputation. We come out, we battle every year, and we carry ourselves the right way. And I think that's very important to put out there before we even get started, right? So, but now we're going to celebrate all the players. Before we get into that, I want to talk about our coaching staff. They've been with me since the very beginning. I'm very lucky in that kind of regard. This coaching staff has been here since I took over, and they've been kind of like a staple. They really take care of all the kids. we all kind of have our role in what's going on here. You know, I'm gonna go off first right here with Mark with JV, who was in the program a little bit for a long time, for a while with with Lincoln, and he stayed with the program. And I gotta tell you, kids love playing for Mark. He's a really good guy. He helps all the kids. He wants them to be successful. He helps out with everything with the barbecue. He helps me put up ladders in the cages to put up the nets. He helps put together all the machines. We get all the parts for the pitch machines to put it together. I mean, Mark helps clean out all the cages. I could go on and on. This program does not function without Mark. So I want to make sure everybody kind of understands that, which is why he comes back every year. Vlad here is literally one of the best coaches in San Francisco baseball right now. He follows me everywhere I go to go do baseball. But again, our goal always is this. We really want to help San Francisco baseball. And people know that by now with what we do. We don't do travel programs, things like that. We always kind of take the affordable option. We want to make sure we're reaching as much people as possible and giving everybody opportunities. You can kind of see that with all the teams that we play. We have players on like every single team that we play. I feel like even in the championship, 90% of the starters from both teams were played for us in the past, right? But again, we do that because we want to build up San Francisco baseball. And Vlad is a part of that. This year we took on 3 Rec and Park teams. He's taking over All-Stars for me while I have a surgery this year. He does middle school baseball with me as well. He does, and then it gets complicated with varsity and JV. Sometimes we need him. I need you down at JV. I need you back at varsity. Go back down to JV. I need you to cover this. Vlad does it all. And we're really, really lucky to have him. I think people kind of downplay his impact, but everybody's lucky to have Vlad if he's around. And he develops a lot of kids, and we're really lucky to have him. Thank you, Vlad. I'm going to talk about the Serranos now. Again, they are literally our rock. All these kids, I mean, the impact they've had on so many kids, and Belinda as well, they take care of these kids. They really do. It's really awesome what they do. They make every kid feel comfortable in this program. And again, they care. You've seen Rudy's passion out there, right? But again, Rudy has tons of knowledge. He was a really skilled baseball player, catcher, all-star, and he brings that knowledge every single day here. He's one of those old school coaches that, like, he will see those little things. He brings that knowledge to every single game, and honestly, he's never wrong. Now, he may say some old school stuff, we all agree, but other than that, you know, we're really lucky to have him. Again, he brings that approach that I think really a lot of kids connect to. And then JoJo, same thing. I mean, he builds a connection with every single kid here. And again, it makes it an extra special experience. And JoJo knows the game second to none as well. And just having those guys in the dugout at all times, communicating with players, seeing things, helping move the defenses, how he's moving around. I mean, we just work as a really, really good unit. And without them, this doesn't happen as well. And not only that, to even get through these trips, they do so much for these trips. To drive everybody around, set everything up all the time. Again, the Serranos, thank you very much for making things happen. And then we got Coach David here. He joined us this year. He's been he actually played for me way back in the day, right? It's interesting I can say things like that now, but I'm older than I look, which is cool. But again, I've been doing this about 15 years now. And now I have players that I actually coached from way back underneath our system, which is really, really cool. We were glad to have them. We had a coach depart last year, and hopefully David becomes a staple, and we have affirm another coach that can help out JV. But you know, he has a real good connection with all the kids as well, and the programs he's running in youth baseball to try to make sure SF baseball is on the rise as well. Coach David, thank you. All right, now that we've talked about all the moving parts of Lincoln baseball, I want to get into celebrating the players, right? They're the ones that make this thing move. So let's talk about the JV season right now, okay? We're going to go through each player for JV. We're going to celebrate each player and go over their awards as well. So I'm going to introduce Mark and Coach Vlad and Coach David, and they're going to talk about JV.
Well, first of all, congratulations to JV for winning a humongous game and a championship. That was a really, really fun game. There was a player who immediately after that game ended, I'll always remember this, like everybody was elated, super duper over the moon, and this kid just kind of was like nodding with eyes full of sunshine and went, "Stamina. I get what you were talking about, coach." We truly outlasted the opponent that game, and that was really, really cool to watch. This team, maybe more than any other that I've been a part of coaching, showed tremendous growth. What they started as, we didn't know what the outcomes were going to be this year. We didn't know what the JV team was going to look like. It was a really weird and rough end in the championship game last year, and to see the strides that they made as we went on throughout the year was profound. And it all kind of culminated with a championship performance that was really memorable. I remember another player saying after the game that that was the most fun that they had playing baseball. It was fun-focused baseball as an emphasis throughout the year, and this team really, really reflected that. I can't wait to see what they're going to do going forward because they had a whole bunch of chemistry. They gelled by the end, and they're going to be a big problem for rivals going forward. This was a really, really fun team to be a part of. Yeah. Unexpectedly fun, unexpected success. It was awesome to be a part of. One thing before I start going through all of the individual players, Coach Burke mentioned that Mark and I coach middle school baseball with him at Presidio Middle School. We've also been a part of coaching rec and park teams, etc. You're going to notice with a lot of these players, we've known them since long before high school even started, and that adds a lot to the story, I think, in each case. The first one that we'll get into, this was a player that went to Presidio Middle School where we coach baseball. To give some of you an idea of the layout there at tryouts, it's ridiculous. We have like 50 kids. It's a really, really tough team to make, tougher to make than some high school teams end up being, right? This was a player that came out every single year that he was out there, and he was right on the edge. We were like, man, we'd really like to take this guy, just couldn't quite find the room on the roster. But in cutting him in 8th grade, literally Burke and I said to each other, man, we really hope this kid comes to Lincoln because he'll show up and shine. And sure enough, he did. We asked him to play a whole bunch of different roles, whether it was the outfield, third base, second base, huge base runner for us, and honestly, like a big-time team chemistry guy. This guy was universally loved on the team and a big part of setting the vibes. He also won our Most Promising on JV award. Congratulations to Gael. So come on up.
Was this your first time?
All right, next player I mentioned, San Francisco Youth Baseball Connection. This player played with us on a team called the West Sunset Grays that was one of the craziest experiences that I think any of us have been a part of. Talk about a team that showed growth. This team started with a bunch of complete beginner players, one of which was this guy. And by the end of that season, we were hitting him 4th in the lineup, and when he came up with runners in scoring position, he was hitting laser beams. When we saw that this kid was coming to Lincoln, we knew that JV would be the perfect fit. And though there were growing moments, this guy was a major piece for our team, held down first base, a really, really critical position, and was a huge presence in our lineup. Anthony Kim had a huge Anthony Kim, also, as the story goes, won our Most Improved on JV player. Yeah.
It's not his first time.
This next player was a late transfer over to Lincoln, and we were like, okay, now things are about to get serious. And when this kid showed up on our JV team, it was very clear that we were a very different team, especially in some of the tougher games, right? Early in the season, we find ourselves in out-of-league games against Peninsula opponents. They have their opinions about a city team rolling through their fields. And this player was a big part of why we were able to kind of prove them wrong and show them that we had something to offer. Lowell had absolutely no answer for this player in the championship game. One of the best offensive years that I've seen. Also held down critical defensive positions for us. Congratulations to Dewan Fields. And before I talk about the award that he won, I also want to tell a brief story on this. Duan is our Offensive Player of the Year, and first of all, it's because he was the best hitter on our team. But second of all, it was the base running. In the championship game, he leads off in the last inning. He gets walked. The whole stadium knows he's stealing second on the first pitch. He's safe. He's on second base. The next pitch, I didn't call it. He decided he was going to steal third. Maybe it wasn't the best jump. Maybe the ball beat him. He does a miraculous swim move, slide, and ends up safe. And I was just waiting for it. I knew it was going to happen. Sure enough, Lowell's pitcher threw it away. We tied the game, and they had absolutely no answer for it for the rest of the day. They completely fell apart. Duan Fields, great job. Next player, a really, really good example of growth. A player that started out with us last year, came into the program as kind of a beginning player, a player that was going to have to build up to having high school level skills. And it became apparent sort of toward the end that the hitting tool was coming around, right? This player, we would give him front toss, we would throw BP in the cage, and the line drive started slowly happening. And then slowly in the games, maybe 1 in every 5 at-bats, there'd be an opposite field poke. Well, this year in JV baseball, it turned into like every single at-bat. This player was an extremely steady presence, especially toward the middle to like 6 spot in our lineup. RBIs every single time when this guy came up with runners in scoring position. Ryan Santiago. Ryan Santiago also won a share of our Most Improved Player Award on JV. Next player, I think we have a whole list of players on this roster that probably could have taken home a share of the Most Improved Player Award, and this player, if he had won, would have felt like a really, really obvious choice. A player that had pretty much no baseball experience when he started last year, and there was growth and there was a work ethic from day one, a willingness to learn the drills, to learn the details of the game. This was a player that totally understood their role in a group. And I think that's one of the most important parts of sports, right? Sometimes you're not thrust into the position that you want to be in. Sometimes you're not in the spotlight, and you've got to learn how to make the entire unit function. And this player was a big part of that, universally loved by his teammates, like I've talked about with some of the others, always bringing the good vibes. JJ Montasisa. Very good. Talk about a San Francisco community youth baseball connection. This is a player that I have known since way back in the days when I was coaching at Hoover Middle School. I've known this guy since he was in 6th grade. Kind of funny story, there's a player that's graduating now. He was already like 6'4" as an 8th grader. This player was not 6'4", but while that big old tall guy played second base, Lil Santi was playing second base. And there are pictures of these two guys standing next to each other, and it's hilarious. I'm so glad that this player has stuck with us over the years. He always came back to play youth baseball with us for the rec teams and for All-Stars. When he came to Lincoln, it was like, this story is ending the way that it's supposed to. He was an extremely steady presence at shortstop for us, and he captained the defense. And that was a role that I wasn't quite sure that he was going to be able to fulfill, and that was a huge part of our success. We had players that honestly were going to struggle sometimes with making the right decision at the right moment, and they needed somebody to keep them aware of what we needed to do in every situation, and Santi was a big part of that. Santi won our Defensive Player of the Year award.
Yeah.
This was actually the rare example of a player that when he came to Lincoln, none of the coaches had any idea who this kid was, but as soon as we saw him playing catch, we knew that we had a player right off the bat. He started off with us last year and was immediately a big part of our lineup, a presence at the top of the lineup, immediately a good base runner, a really good outfielder who was willing to learn third base on the fly. never got too worked up and lost in the moment. I could always rely on this player to just be level. And that was a calming presence for everybody. This year he picked up a new skill, and this is going to be maybe his biggest tool going forward. He became a big pitcher for us, and that won us a championship, quite frankly. Joshua Ha.
Yeah!
The next two players were asked to do something at the beginning of the year that was honestly a really tough ask, and the way that these two players handled what was asked of them could not have been more admirable. These next two players were juniors, and recently the league switched up so that we could have juniors play JV. And as you can tell, numbers in our program are extremely low, and we needed players to fill out that roster, and we needed players to kind of set the tempo and make sure that we were competitive going forward, and it turned out to be the perfect move. This player was a huge part of leading the troops, not only bringing the good times and the good vibes, but also making sure that everybody knew when it was time to work, right? And sometimes it wasn't through like direct commands. Players would look up and they would see Joseph focused, and I could see it in their body language. They'd be like, oh, it's serious time. Joseph, come on up. Joseph won our most inspirational award for good reason. He brought a real competitive mentality to a team that needed it. Our next player for the last 2 years has been our undisputed ace of the staff. When he comes in, we know that we're going to have a low-scoring, fast-paced, and competitive game, right? When we would go in, especially against tough teams, they would have their opinions when they saw this guy warming up, and every single time they were stifled. It was weakly hit pop-ups, it was little rollover ground balls that did absolutely no harm, and the game just hummed along, and we had a chance to win consistently. When things went wrong for a couple batters in a row, he stayed level, and that was a really calming presence on this roster. Congratulations to Lucas Joel. Yeah. Lucas also won a share of our Pitcher of the Year award for JV.
Yeah.
And this last player was the undisputed leader of our team. I think the thing to lead off with was we had no catcher, and we needed somebody to take over that position. And that's a position of leadership, obviously, but it's also a very physically demanding position. That player has also been a really talented pitcher throughout his career. And obviously, with catching being on his plate, there wasn't so much of a chance to do that this year. This player handled that with such grace, was a big part of leading our defense and making sure that players were where they were supposed to be. He was another coach on the field at all times. I never had to call a game in terms of what pitch are we going to throw here. I knew Judah was going to make the right decision. Even if it took a little guidance here and there, it was going to be taken care of. A leader in every single respect. When he felt like the chemistry of the team was a little bit off, he gathered up the troops, took everybody out to boba, took everybody out to eat at team dinner, and that was a big part of the switch in the mentality of this team, and where we went from kind of a mediocre group to a team that had a chance to win. And they came together, and the stars lined up, and a lot of it had to do with this guy being a part of our program. Congratulations to Judah. Judah won the ultimate combination of awards. He was our MVP, and he was also the winner of our Coaches Award for the JV.
To add off, we're just going to give also the championship awards to our coaches, to Mark, Coach David, also to Coach again,
We're getting played up
Thank
the
you.
stage? We're getting into
Oscar
right off the
music.
stage? Speed it up.
I do want to say, again, congratulations to the JV team for winning the second championship in 5 years for the JV. That's never been done in Lincoln High School history. Yeah, what was that? Huh?
Second and 4 years.
Second in 4 years.
Yeah.
So, but again, this JV team, again, we're super proud of everybody here, and they continued the excellence. Again, this is we've been in the championship 5 years in a row for JV and won it twice. And again, we're excited for our future. Thank you to all the coaches, and again, you're 2026 JV champions. Congratulations. You guys, all right, get closer for a picture real quick for the parents, and then we'll do varsity. Hey, varsity. Focus, yep. All right, so next we're going to talk about varsity. So again, I want to talk a little bit about how special this group is, especially our seniors. We'll go a little bit deeper into that, but this is a very special group for a lot of reasons. And again, they continue kind of the excellence that we've been kind of bringing in this program recently, and I'll talk about why that's important. And I hope people don't downplay that. But first, we're going to start